We will be discussing all the very troubling and bizarre things that happened to Luka while he lived in New York City for years. As you are all aware, Luka Magnotta was the victim of countless stalkers, crazed relatives, past lovers, friends, and clients who were all completely obsessed with him. Luka's Toronto condominium was broken into numerous times by unknown intruders, and his laptop and files stolen. He had a lot of confidential information on all of his high-powered escort clientele. The Toronto Mafia, whom Luka was deeply involved with, was threatening to make him disappear. Luka was engaged to Ron Mikhailov, and the Russian Mafia was extremely angry, so Magnotta relocated to Manhattan. We will continue the story in a moment, but first, it's important to note, none of these idiots you see in the media discussing Luka have ever dated him, nor was Luka ever friends with them. These idiotic she-males and transsexuals are repulsive, irrelevant nobodies. Magnotta doesn't even know them. Luka posed for photos with many people. That doesn't give him the right to exploit the situation for financial gain. All of these people are for sale, and the media should be ashamed for linking Luka to these nobodies. Back to our story. Luka met Raphael Tenken and Brandon Mess while he was working in Boston as an escort one weekend. Raphael and Brandon introduced Luka to Eric Weissman, who in turn introduced Magnotta to prominent members of the New York City Jewish community. Luka was immediately set up with his own condo and driver. Magnotta began making 10 times more money each night in New York City than he did in Toronto. Luka was very thankful to Raphael, Brendan, and Eric. Unfortunately, they were all murdered in 2011 and had their throats slit by an unknown. But Luka will never forget their help. Luka met celebrities, politicians, athletes, and the rich elite of the New York City. One of his first New York experiences was actually very scary. He was called down to an address downtown. When he arrived, he realized it was next to the World Trade Center ruins construction site. The man tried to pull Magnotta into an abandoned building, but Luka was too quick and punched the asshole in the face and luckily fled. John Bitteroff, a carpenter from Long Island, New York, who was later convicted of murders connecting to the Long Island serial killings, was indeed Luka Magnotta's escort client. Bitteroff used to hire Luka, and they went to bars together, and Luka was paid to introduce Bitteroff to females. Bitteroff used to hire Luka all the time. Bitteroff was an avid hunter and took Magnotta on trips to the forest. John enjoyed hunting rabbits, mostly small game, all perfectly legal. But Luka did not personally enjoy this. Luka was paid only to be John Bitteroff's companion. Luka said he had no idea who was making insulting anonymous phone calls to the sister of Melissa Barthelme, a 24-year-old Bronx, New York escort who was murdered. Luka denied knowledge of the vulgar calls to her sister. Luka said he had no knowledge of any of the Long Island serial killings and would never kill any person, nor any animal. He loves pets. Luka also said that he had no idea of what happened to Maureen Brainerd Barnes, another female escort whose body was found and connected to John Bitteroff. These women were all working in very dangerous professions, and Magnotta denied all connections again. Moving on. Luka really adored living in New York City and is completely bewildered why Romeo Salta, his former New York City attorney, continues babbling about him. David D'Amato, prolific internet stalker, introduced Luka to this lawyer. Completely crazed animal activists were stalking and harassing Magnotta. These stalkers were not Animal activists, in fact, they were obsessed fanatics who were desperately trying to get Magnotta's attention, and they all failed miserably. These stalkers include morbidly obese Deanna Thompson of Las Vegas and old man John Green of Los Angeles. These elaborate stories about Luka, falsely claims he was using aliases, names online, and then without any proof plastered his name all over their Facebook groups. Slander, defamation, and harassment. These psychos even did this in the past to others, some victims, online, even committed suicide. It was impossible to prove who was behind any of the aliases in the internet accounts, but these idiots in the press gobbled up the attention-seeker stories. Netflix even did a documentary film featuring these imbeciles. The producers should be ashamed for not doing their homework. These animal activist stalkers are completely irrelevant, and Luka has zero connection to any of them. They even tried to go on tour and give seminars to cash in more off of Magnotta's story. It's incredible how people with zero connection to Luka's case have gotten attention from the press. Mind-boggling. Luka Magnotta was constantly being harassed and required legal help. David D'Amato, prolific internet predator, hired Luka to be his personal male escort. D'Amato had connections to many New York City law firms and introduced Luka to lawyer Romeo Salta. Luka noticed D'Amato was becoming more and more obsessed and bizarre. Things began appearing on the internet, posts claiming to be Luka Magnotta. It was clear D'Amato was behind the posts and impersonating Magnotta. Internet idiot detectives falsely claimed Luka was behind these posts. Not true. It was all David D'Amato. These whining, crying, incoherent, lying animal activist stalkers can lie all they want, but Magnotta never entered their Facebook groups and is completely unprovable. Impossible to prove in his slander and defamation to anyone saying otherwise. D'Amato was at parties thrown by John Bitteroff. Bitteroff was involved in the Long Island serial killings, and he also was an escort client of Luka Magnotta, as we discussed. Ask Dr. Peter Hackett, and he can verify everything. Who is Dr. Peter Hackett in relation to the Long Island serial killing case? Peter Hackett, an Oak Beach, Long Island resident, was somebody communicating with Luka Magnotta online in 2010. He has a lot of knowledge about the Long Island serial killing case. However, Luka found him to be extremely intrusive and stopped talking with him. It's currently unclear if Dr. Peter Hackett was involved in Sharon Maria Gilbert's death. Another interesting point about Luka's life in New York City. He was so busy. He would do 10 calls each night and was invited to a lot of expensive parties with all very famous people. So anyone claiming to be an expert on Luka's life or friends with him, do not believe them. Luka's friends don't ever speak about him at all. Period. A crazed man named Jonathan LaFrance Rivard, who Luka met in 2015 at Archambault prison, was recently released and is claiming falsely to be friends still with Luka and is profiting from naive women. Do not believe Jonathan LaFrance Rivard. He has zero communication with Luka, and Magnotta will never speak with this con artist again. Luka spent a lot of time in New York City, and still has amazing friends there. It's unfortunate that the media got his life so wrong and inaccurate. Almost none of Luka's real life is written about him or his career as an escort. It's all been skipped over. Luka's career as an escort was the central and most important part of his life for over 10 years. So it's unfathomable it's not documented better. New York played a vital role in Luka's life. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed this podcast and hearing more of the truth. More is to come soon. Listen to the truth. Ignore the lies. The media. They all just use it to sell their papers. Luka's life is much more than what's found on the internet. Much, much more.